Hello and welcome to Libra season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and multidimensional human who, like you, is on a journey through this crazy thing we call life here on planet Earth. These days, as I'm sure you've noticed, life on Earth is complex, chaotic, confusing, terrifying, and deeply heartbreaking, yet also still full of beauty and saturated by the mysterious substances of sentient potentiality. In many ways, these times are to be expected, given the histories and cycles that they're emerging within. In the ongoing evolution of human consciousness, navigating times of crisis has always been our necessity. Throughout history, we humans have had to reckon with creative and destructive potentials, and the ways in which we can make meaning and grow through experiences of tragedy and pain. Over the ages, one of our most important evolutionary guides and allies in meaning making has been astrology. Astrology is expansive, and the type that I practice, which is called tropical astrology, is just one of its many forms. Different forms of astrology exist and have existed on every part of the globe, and new forms and variations are still being created. At its most fundamental level, astrology is an orientation of attunement with the cycles and seasons of the cosmos, and a practice of listening and communing with the most important planet of all, which is the one we're part of, Earth. If you, like me, are interested in how you can live into the fullest potential of your lifetime, in service to the life and lives yours is interwoven with here on Earth, I want to invite you to join me next month for an in-person on-land retreat, where we'll explore how embodying astrology can help us attune with our intuition, open our imaginations, and show up for our journeys with inspiration, presence, and purpose. October 24th through 27th at the Eco-Dharma Center in the Rocky Mountains, I'll be joined by my colleagues Ramon and Michelle Gabrieloff-Parrish for a deep dive into experiential astrology. During this 4-day residential retreat, we'll engage with charts, signs, and symbolism. We'll spend time outside, connecting with our physical presence, somatic intelligence, and psychic process, in communion with the land and sky. We'll experiment with the potential of astrology to elaborate systems thinking, expand mind-body coherence, and assist us in cultivating perspectives on how our individual inheritances and personal potentials can help us all meet the historic moment we're in as change agents, healers, and visionaries. If this sounds like the place you want to be, I hope you'll join us. Learn more about the Body of Stars retreat by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting embodiedastrology.com, where you can find more information from the drop-down menu in the study section. Last but not least, before we get to your sign-specific horoscopes, I do want to remind you that these readings are somewhat personal explorations of larger collective symbols. Take what works, leave the rest, and make the meaning that's meaningful for you. For a broader focus on the astrology of current events and a collective reading, make sure to listen to my Libra season overview, available on YouTube or wherever you stream your podcasts. Hello, Gemini. Welcome to Libra season. As we move into the reading for you over this season, and again, this is for all of your Gemini placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, or however you might identify with Gemini, we are going to tune in with some of the keywords for Libra, some of the most important and essential keywords: beauty, love, and balance, through some of the most important parts of your being, your head, your heart, and your body. Over the course of this season, we are really feeling into preferences and aesthetics. That includes what you like and what you don't like, your attractions and your aversions. We're also feeling into the realm of relationships and the evolving nature of love, which of course has to experience peaks and valleys and all kinds of variations of emotional experience. And ultimately, balance is a practice. Balance is a negotiation, and it requires us to be increasingly aware of imbalance and how we might move because of our relationships or because of our preferences into states of attraction or aversion or urgency or avoidance or something like that. So listen to make the meaning that's meaningful for you. Feel free to take what works and leave the rest. Okay, Gemini, so Libra season feels like ultimately a period of opportunity for you. A lot of you are, I feel like you're in a very important state of growth right now, and your sense of self is really shifting and evolving. Who you know yourself to be is coming into a big, exciting new chapter. And there is kind of a sense of an adventure being formed and about to open up. In some ways, this adventure may have already begun, but in other ways, you are still preparing for it. And I think there's a kind of sense of internal readying that is also needing to be matched by external readiness. And a lot of times, in my experience as an astrologer, like this happens a lot, where someone is aware internally of what they want or what they're trying to do, but it can't actually manifest externally until there's the environmental and relational readiness. And as we wait for everybody else to get ready, there's also important processes of growth that then happen internally that might actually happen in part due to the frustration or the loneliness or the anxiety that we have about why isn't the world ready for me yet. And so I'm feeling a little bit of that in your chart right now. And I think that some of you have this sense of growth and trajectory. And as I mentioned, the beginning of a new adventure that you have set course for. And then there's challenges, then there's delays, there's obstacles, there's feelings of confusion or distraction or overwhelm. The nature of the collective time right now is that there is way too much to deal with for any of us alone, and that there is actually a high level of distraction that makes it very hard to focus in particular ways. And I think that some of you right now might be feeling this. Now, as we move into the season, the first week or so, we are very much in the window of eclipses. There was an eclipse on September 17th, and there will be another eclipse on October 2nd. Eclipses come in pairs. So the eclipse on October 2nd is a new moon and solar eclipse. So as we move into Libra season, we are in a waning moon cycle. And the feeling here is that energy is contracting. And I get a sense of like a seriousness for you as we move into this cycle. And I'm actually getting a lot of feeling of weight coming through my body. It's almost like there's a pile of bricks on my head and you're like trying to hold it up and you're trying to keep going. But there's also, potentially maybe the feeling of gravity that you are really trying to manage right now. And the gravity, it's the gravity of living on Earth, of living in a body that's aging, of living in a phenomenal world that's like not really in any of our individual control, where a lot of horrible, heartbreaking things are happening. And the gravity of what is, it seems like fated, it's just, this is what you have to deal with, or something like that, is present as we move into this season. So Gemini, if this resonates for you, then I want to say, yeah, that's true. And it feels like there's a need for you to orient in simplicity to what can you attend, especially in your immediate environment, that is going to be supportive for you. It might not fix all the problems. It might not entirely lift this weight off of your head. It might just make it slightly easier to stand here or to be here holding it up. And it might give you some kind of inspiration or support to be here through this time. It does feel like this is a period of time that needs a kind of practical and radical acceptance of hardship and challenge. You are in a challenging spot right now. There is literally a sense of obstacle that is kind of like enclosing around you right now. And that's
natural in life, right? Like before a baby is born, it is squeezed and probably feeling more and more and more and more squeezed and less and less and less capable of moving around. And that frustration and that sense of being squeezed is actually a really important part of our developmental growth, because it is what eventually gives us core strength, right? It's like what allows us to be able to push out and to mobilize and transform. So if this is a period of time that is just feeling like there's a lot to deal with, acknowledging, radically accepting that that is true right now, that there's probably not a lot that you can do to make it wildly different than it is. So many of the issues that are challenging for you are like they're bigger than you. You can't actually change them. So you have to attend to the here and the now. And what I'm getting for you is on multiple levels. The first thing that's coming in is your immediate environment and what's right around you. So for some of you, this is your physical body. For others of you, this also might include your living space. Lots of variations of living spaces. And so please also feel free to include like your automobile or your, neighborhood, or however you kind of find yourself in a day-to-day experience of environment. The feeling that I'm getting is beautify. Bring things into the environment that uplift your senses. I'm getting a strong orientation towards smell right now. And so if you have access to fresh cut flowers or incense, or opening your window and like letting in the breeze or something like that, I think that the olfactory sense can actually really help your mind right now. You might also want to check out some aromatherapy options, depending on how you experience your own mood or your energetic state. There are many different oils that have like an energy medicine values to them. The plants that are coming in for me right now are in the mint family. They include rosemary and lavender and mint. These are plants that are uplifting to the senses. They're stimulating to the mind while also providing like a calming, cooling, grounding kind of energy to them. Along with the olfactory environment, also any kinds of design or visual beauty, or ways that you can just attend to your body and to your space so that you feel connected to beauty is important. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the reading, beauty is an important Libra keyword, and during this time, there are a lot of preferences that are shifting. And so what you used to find beautiful, you might not find so beautiful now. You used to really like the way that thing smelled, and now it's a little cloying, or you used to really love this picture and now you're kind of bored of it. So I do want to invite you to change things up. And as you attend to your body, as you attend to your environment, just to notice how it feels. Is this actually what you want right now? Is this giving you this sense of aliveness and presence, or a kind of uplift in your mood? Or is it just kind of there in the space? Or maybe does it have a negative effect on you? And don't be afraid to change things up right now. It's also a time to fill your environment with what you find inspiring and what you are trying to grow towards, and to just keep it in mind, to look at it every day. So even if you feel a sense of pressure and obstacle and it's not time yet, or there's all this shit to deal with before you could get there, or maybe you feel fearful and it's like, am I even going to get there? Gemini, I really want you to stay inspired and to keep reminding yourself of what it is that you are trying to grow towards right now. So having, inspirational affirmations or mantras somewhere, making a vision board or a mood board, or getting yourself something that visually or sensorily reminds you of what it is that you are trying to cultivate and grow towards, and the future that you are dreaming of, can be really helpful right now. So bring it somewhere where you can tune in and check in with it every day. Getting towards the new moon and solar eclipse on October 2nd, there are some really important kind of aha moments for you. This feels like energetic wake-up calls about your own energy, and really importantly, about your desire, what you want, and how things make you feel. The general sense right now is that you don't have to buy what you don't want to buy. That could be literal for some of you, right? Like it could be literally like, yeah, you've bought this brand of pasta, every single time you went to the grocery store for the last 20 years and you just reach for it automatically now, but actually you don't even like it anymore and you've really been wanting to try that risotto, but you just didn't have the courage or something. It's probably not true for you because you're a Gemini, but do you get the point? Like if there is a way that you have found yourself investing time, energy, money, attention, and also your, what you bring in your relationships, and what you kind of feed in your energy. If you're investing in ways that are just out of habit, or because you think that's what you're supposed to be doing, or you think that's, oh, everybody likes it, that's what I like, or something like that. Now you're ready for a reframe. You're ready for a different story around that. And this new moon and eclipse on October 2nd is bringing in a strong feeling for me of you are different now and you want to be different. You want to express yourself differently. This might involve your actual aesthetic and appearance. You might be dressing differently, bringing yourself out into the world differently. Some of you are feeling an evolution in your gender and how you want to occupy and express inside of this multi-dimensional possibility that you have called life in a human body. And you might be playing with different ways of kind of, feeling your own energy moving out into the world. Any of you who feel yourself as creative beings, and I hope that's all of you because you are creative, your life is your artistry, but particularly any of you that have creative projects that you're working on, or you identify around particular aspects of your creativity, might really be noticing that how you want to practice is shifting now. So you create your life all of the time. Every single decision that you make is feeding into the creation of your life. You want to practice differently. There's something that you are building, forming, and creating that really needs to come out in new and different ways. The last thing I'll say about that is that any of you who are parents, this feels really important in that children can be an enormous creative project, and you did create them, and you are a co-creator in their lives. This feels like a period of time for you to teach by reflecting and not to be a know-it-all, and really try and tune in with what are they teaching you about your values and what you think is important, and what are they teaching you also about their values and what is important, particularly in the generational difference. And there are ways that they are experiencing life at their age right now that are totally different than how you experience life at that age. They might be tuning into certain things that you don't even know are there, or they might be tuning in certain ways that you aren't tuned in. Of course you have perspective, of course you have wisdom, of course you have guidance, but that wants to come through in ways that are curious, that help them access their own intelligence and discernment and skillful choices, not that impose your ideas on them. When it comes back to your creativity and for your sense of self, I would say it's the same vibe. Get out of your head about it. Really try and tune in energetically with what is natural right now, what wants to come forward, and how is it shifting, and how do you support that? Now, you are beginning a period of retrospection and reflection around this time.
Hey there. I'll be back in just a minute with the rest of your Libra season horoscope, but I wanted to let you know that if you're enjoying this reading and it's resonating for you, the best way to integrate and bring astrology's best potentials into your life is to put them into practice. At Embodied Astrology, that's exactly the kind of thing we do. Every month and throughout the seasons, we offer opportunities to engage the creative, experimental, and experiential aspects of current astrology. This season, I hope you'll join me for Somatic Space, which is a class I offer every Monday, where we prepare ourselves to work with the astrology of the week ahead through gentle, healing body practices, breathwork, meditation, and visualization. Over the weekend of October 12th and 13th, we also have 2 wonderful workshops with our faculty members, Gabs and Junata. On Saturday, October 12th, Gabs 404 will be joined by a special guest, the astrologer and time researcher Christopher Burrick, in the Nebula Lab, where they'll deep dive into time as a substance and explore the many ways that time has been measured, expanded, stretched, and played with, and how we can work with time across time through the cyclical symbolism of the outer planets. The next day, Sunday, October 13th, Junata Petrus returns for the Aries full moon edition of her monthly Artistic Alchemy series. In these sessions, Junata brings us into the textural, sensual encounters with the solar-lunar axis and full moon vibes by sharing playlists, artist practices, and personal prompts that help us uncover and expand our personal creative practices and life as artistry. These events are all offered on Zoom and available by recording if you can't attend live. Our offerings also change with each season and are always curated to meet the moment. To find out more, check the upcoming events in our show notes or click Study from the drop-down menu at embodiedastrology.com.
Moving into October, between the new moon on October 2nd and the full moon in Aries on October 17th, there's a really kind of notable sense of perspective shift that is happening in the Gemini charts. And my feeling is that it's like you're watching something in slow motion, like you're watching your life totally shift and transform. And a lot of the structures that have been built around you, that you have built around you, right? Because you're a creative being, you probably thought that they were solid. Like even just a couple weeks ago, you thought that this is how things are. And it's like you're watching the creation of your life morph into something else. And over the course of the next several months, I'm going to give you until May of 2025, you're in a really big reframe. And so this is where we come back to the initial message that was coming through in your reading and this feeling of weight and pressure and like an internal sense of you're growing, but there's also frustration. You are in a really big reframe. And the way that you have been accustomed to meeting pressure and obstacles and challenge and hardship is also shifting and changing. And as you allow for this internal transformation to take place, you will identify new pathways of support, different kinds of resources. You will also be able to give yourself your own perceptual reframes. And you're going to start, I think, to experience these challenges in different ways, or you're going to start to experience different options and how you want to meet them as you allow for this kind of pressure right now to change really work on you. Leading up to that full moon on October 17th, particularly like from the 13th through the 17th, I want to say that this period of time feels particularly volatile within collective consciousness. You know, people are on one right now. A lot of people are feeling really reactive, and we all can. And for you, this feels like a time to not feed the trolls, not allow your mind to get hijacked by other people's drama. This feels like a time to really focus in on how you can attend to your own environment. Again, what do you have right here that will affect how you feel, or that you can use in some way to meet this particular moment. And this also feels like a time when you might be challenged by the weight of your pre-existing patterns, particularly when it comes to how you get trapped, is the feeling that I'm getting. So like entrapment happens, I think, in the context of relationships, but relationships here are all levels, and the feeling that I'm getting has to do with support and how you might feel trapped because of either a lack of support or perceived lack of support, and how you might trap yourself into ways of being because you think that that's what you need to do in order to get the support. And the feeling that I have for you right now is you need to be bold. You need to experiment with new ways of being and showing up. You really want to stay aligned with your values right now. It's so important that you are clear about what's important to you, and that you work skillfully with patterns that might be emerging that would have you self-abandoning, or like silencing yourself, or shrinking in fear, or agreeing to compromises that actually you don't want, or something like that. This does feel like a potentially sticky time as we move towards the full moon for some of you, but I think that if you stay focused on your priorities, if you continue to care for your environment and what you can affect, and if you continue to show up for this sense of change in yourself and really allowing this transformation to take place, not feeding the trolls of worry about, what other people think, are they going to give you what you want or need, things like that, stay true to you. My feeling is that on the other side of this full moon, there's a big release of energy. And this feels really exciting. This feels like doors are opening for you. There's some sense of future movement and trajectory. I think that the landscape of your relationships is changing a lot, and that when you are courageous in bringing this changing sense of self forward, I think that there's actually really positive receptivity for that. And there might just be a kind of little hill that you have to climb of your own anxiety or fear or sense of unknown when it comes to that. So in summary, Gemini, this feels like a period of time for you to be really present with the ways that you are shifting right now. And where you feel obstacles and resistance and hardship and a sense of doubt, where you confront your own insecurities or sense of limitation in yourself, your environment, or your relationships, to remind yourself that frustration and periods of stuckness can be incredibly important and beneficial in long-term periods of time. So, I'm thinking about like where I live, these enormous trees and forests are, and the big elder trees take up a lot of the space, and the little saplings have to stay small for a long time because they can't really get to the light because all the big trees are taking up all the light. But that's important because these little saplings are meant to get really big someday. And there is a wisdom in keeping them small for a while because it strengthens the fibers of their beings. And then when one of the elders passes, right, and light opens up and the elder's body becomes a nurse tree and feeds the forest floor, these young saplings will grow sometimes very quickly. But if they haven't been held and contained long enough, then their growth will manifest in weakness and structural weakness. So there's a feeling right now of intelligence in constraint. And where you find frustration, where you find this sense of like endless challenge or grief or longing, to be present with that, to recognize that those sensations are actually deeply informative for you, at the same time as you continue to attend to the possibility and to your faith that you are on a path of change and transformation. Fill your space with reminders of where it is that you're trying to grow. Bring into your body and your environment that which will uplift your consciousness and your energy and support you. And practice diligence and discernment throughout the season in noticing the ways that you are ready for change and learning new pathways of being. Attune your listening to what feels most natural, what wants to emerge. Try and get out of your head about it. Geminis are very smart, and sometimes our intelligence is actually our weakness, right? So you want to get into your body and your energy right now and allow what is most authentic to come forth. And the kind of moment of holding that you're in is meant to help you tune in even deeper and even better with what wants to come out. In order to maintain your sense of balance right now, keep it in perspective. There's a lot going on out there. If you allow your attention and energy to get pulled out by all the gazillion things that are happening that you can't control, you'll be toast. So keep it in perspective, really try and tune in with what you can affect, and keep your life in perspective of the much bigger picture. We are all just breaths in the body of the great cosmos. We are waves in the ocean of consciousness. We are here without any guaranteed outcomes, and our lives are offerings. And so if you come to your life every day with an attitude of devotion, you want to be here to embody the potential of this day, and you want to express what is most authentic and most deeply connected to your core values, then you can be sure that you're going to live your best life on that day. All right, Gemini, I hope any or all of that is helpful for you. I'm wishing you all the best in Libra season and beyond. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please show your support. The easiest way to do that is to click the like, follow, and subscribe buttons below. Leave us great reviews on the streaming platforms you're tuning in with, and share our channels and offerings with your friends and networks. Your one-time and recurring donations sustain the production of this work. Click the link in the show notes to sign up for a monthly donation or leave us a tip. Thank you for your support.